So this line may look like it's going into the airport for security on a busy travel weekend, but no, those are people looking for a different kind of high. Because today, stores in Minnesota, some stores are allowed to start selling some edibles and drinks with Delta-9 THC. That's the chemical compound in cannabis that gives that high effect. The new law does more than that, though. It regulates Delta-8, which is a relative of Delta-9 that was already sold in Minnesota. Already confused? Same. All of this has to come from legally certified hemp now, and not marijuana. The law puts caps on how much THC can be in each serving you could go buy and how many servings can be in each package. That's a lot of restrictions, and that's very confusing, which means it's a good time to call on Jennifer Hoff. Jay Hoff, care to explain?
I am no expert here, so I went to them to get the best answers. And there is a lot of confusion, and rightly so, because even the lawyer who represents hemp farmers says Minnesota is really charting its own path now with this new law. States usually either fully legalize marijuana or they don't. Of course, there are some medical exceptions. But a hemp-derived THC market only exists now here. So we're digging deeper into exactly what that means.
Minnesota lawyer Jason Tarasek has spent years advocating for lawmakers to legalize recreational marijuana, even founding the group Minnesota Cannabis Law, calling today a big step forward.
For cannabis activists like me, it's important because we recognize that there's a market out there. There are consumers out there who have been unfortunately pushed to the black market, and today they can buy hemp-derived THC in beverages and food legally in Minnesota.
The new law goes into effect today after the legislature passed it during the last session. Tarasek clarifying what was legal before and what's different now centers largely around making the product more safe. Also called Delta-9, THC is one of more than 100 chemical compounds found in the same plant that produces hemp and marijuana.
I think that this bill does go a long way to imposing testing requirements, at least on the substances that are going to be used to create these products. It creates stringent packaging requirements and labeling requirements aimed to keep these products out of the hands of children and to ensure that retailers do not market these things to children.
The law allows anyone 21 and older to buy edibles from hemp that get you high, up to 5 milligrams per serving, or half of what's in this bag, that contain no more than 0.3% of THC, or half of one of these gummies. What the law doesn't limit is who can sell it or how much someone can buy.
What are your thoughts on that?
You know, it's something that perhaps we need to revisit in the next legislative session.
To be honest, this amount is frankly very low.
It's low.
So for somebody to feel like they're benefiting from THC, they may have to buy a lot of it.
I've heard it. I've heard the 5 milligram limit equated to 3.2 near beer. That's probably a pretty good analogy.
Tarasek admits he's surprised the bill passed after Senate Republicans have historically been opposed to legalizing marijuana, something 19 other states have already done. But what Minnesota did today puts it in a category all on its own.
We are trailblazers today. We have charted a middle path, and we have now legalized hemp-derived THC in food and beverages. It certainly isn't a full legalization of adult-use marijuana, but it does get us closer to that.
The Minnesota Board of Pharmacy will regulate the products, but does want the state to create a cannabis office to have better oversight on a market that, while is still new in Minnesota, is one Tarasek thinks will only continue to take off.
Retailers and consumers, they're going to adapt quickly. They're going to recognize that this is a new product that they can rely on to be safe, and I think you're going to see it flying off the shelves.
Tarasek says he also understands if some people are concerned or even upset about legalizing some THC products, but adds in his years of experience, the stigma around cannabis tends to disappear rather quickly as soon as it sort of starts to appear wherever folks live, because he says just as quickly people realize that the sky just doesn't fall. And further, he says this law allows the state to recognize the market that has been here in the state for a while now, but to do so, Jana, just more safely.
Yeah, and safety is a big component of this, but we should also be transparent, right, Jennifer? Like, there is a lot we just don't know yet, and everyone's kind of agreeing that we got to figure some stuff out too.
We got to figure some stuff out. And like you said, you've got to let some of that also play itself out. And I asked TerraSec, did we put the cart before the horse in this case? And I think, like you and I have talked about, this already existed. What this did was just try to help regulate it a little bit more and then maybe work out some kinks as we move along.